Welcome to the Power of Oxygen First, where we scale your life first so your business can actually breathe. I'm your host, Dot Rock. Oxygen First means you protect your energy first. You build your life first. You take care of your nervous system first. Then you scale. Because success without oxygen, that's just burnout with better branding. Around here, we talk about real leadership, how to hire your peanut butter instead of just doing it all yourself, how to fire with grace when something's expired, no more breadcrumbs, how to grow or go, and how to receive support without apologizing for it. This isn't hustle culture. It's sustainable success. It's leadership with oxygen. So let's pause and take a deep breath. Let's build something that actually feels like home. Well, hello. Welcome back to the Power of Oxygen First, where we scale your life first so your business can actually breathe. I'm your host, Dot Rock. Oof, in today's conversation, this one feels like an exhale with my feet on the ground because we are talking about something I see everywhere. Women who are doing all of the right things on paper, but really quietly running on empty and not just tired empty, disconnected, overextended, giving everything to everyone else, and slowly losing themselves in the process. Today, I am joined by a new friend of mine, Ruth Hirshberg. I met her in the Monarch community, that business community that I'm in that I love. And Ruth is just this beautiful, grounded soul. She is a registered social worker, a certified meditation and breathwork teacher, and founder of Grounding with Ruth, where she helps women regulate their nervous systems, reconnect to their self worth, and build lives that actually feel like theirs. And you guys, I feel so blessed that I met Ruth. What I love about Ruth is this: she didn't arrive at this work from a perfectly planned path. She arrived here, where she's at, like many of us do, through burnout, through chronic illness, and through realizing that the life she built wasn't the one she could actually sustain and be in love with. At one point, she said something in this conversation that really stopped me in my tracks. She realized she was more upset about the idea of going back to work than she was about being diagnosed with a lifelong chronic illness. A big time illness, you guys. Let that land for a second. That's not just stress. That's your body telling the truth. Our bodies keep score. I believe that. I know that to be true. And what unfolded in Ruth's life after wasn't a big dramatic turning point. It was what she calls a series of little big moments. We all have these moments where something just didn't feel right anymore. Moments where she started to realize she had been living for someone else, for everyone else, people pleasing, and not just living for herself. We also talk about something I didn't expect to hit as deeply as it did: dogs. Yes, dogs. And how they might actually be some of our greatest teachers when it comes to nervous system regulation. Because they don't hold on to the past, they don't overthink the future, they shake things off, literally. And somewhere along the way, we all have stopped doing that. This conversation, you're going to love it. It's all about coming back to yourself, not perfectly, not all at once, but slowly, honestly, and the way that actually lasts. So if you've been falling off, disconnected, or like you're doing everything right, but it still doesn't quite feel right, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. Well, hello, Ruth Hirshberg. Welcome to the podcast. It is so good to have you here. I'm so excited to get to know you a little better today.
I am so excited to be here. Thanks so much, Dot.
Yay. Okay, so we met through the Monarch community. How would you even
Yep.
describe the Monarch community that we're in? Like, I try to tell people what it is, and I'm like, well, I don't know. It's a marketing business group for
Yeah. I say it's like
entrepreneurs.
that's it. I sort of tell people it's a business group for entrepreneurs, but it's just an incredibly supportive community of people kind of trying
Mhm.
to lift each other up.
Absolutely. Like, I just feel so nurtured every time we get on
Mhm.
calls. Mondays, we start with a work sprint at 8 a.m. my time, 10 o'clock your time, because you're in Canada,
Yeah.
correct?
I am in Canada. I'm in
What
Ontario.
part?
I'm in Ontario. Everyone
Hmm.
knows Toronto. I'm from Toronto, but
Hmm.
me and my husband moved about 45 minutes to an hour north of the city into sort of
Hmm.
farmland. We were done with living in the city and just wanted space.
I love it. And what is it that you and your husband do? Because I am fascinated by your two businesses
Hmm.
and definitely share a love for dogs like you have.
Yeah, me and my husband have a dog walking and boarding business. It'll be 9 years this summer. We started July 2017, and I was working as a dog walker for a company for about a year before that. So I've been walking dogs for a living for 10 years, which is crazy.
Sounds amazing to me. I
It
mean, I'm
is.
sure there's parts of it I'm not thinking of, but part of my energy management is that I have a dog. If I say that W word loudly right now as he's next to me, we will ruin the podcast. But he loves that part of the day. Each time we
Hmm.
go, I try to break up the day, try to get in my steps that way. And I can't imagine being able to get in the steps I want to if I were not a dog owner.
So there's a lot less walking than people think. I think it
Hmm.
depends on what kind of dog walker you are. There's people who just do it on foot, like they literally walk from door to door, picking up dogs, walking them on the sidewalk, walking to the next one. They are getting their steps in. We are not that. We are driving to the dog's house, loading a group of dogs into our vehicle, and then we do two things. We either go to the dog park and let them run around off leash in the park,
Hmm.
or we do this special thing twice a week and take a group of dogs to my parents have a farm outside of
Hmm.
Toronto. So we'll take them to the farm for the day and they run around and just go crazy there. But
Oh, so it's like a doggy daycare type
it's more, yeah, I guess it would be more like that.
dog
So,
situation.
yes, we're walking. Yes, we're kind of moving a lot. It's a lot of driving. It is a lot of
Yeah.
driving, which
And a lot of
is
dog
not ideal.
management.
Oh, a lot of dog management. It's a great job. I love it. I'm very grateful that we did it. We always had talked about starting a business together and doing something outdoors. I mean, my husband, he was a gardener before, so he was
Hmm.
already working outdoors, but
Hmm.
I was working as a social worker, so I was in an office in a cubicle. We talked about it for a long time doing something like this, and it came at the time that it needed to come, and I love it. But it's like any job. There's days I wake up and it's like pouring rain outside or snowing and freezing. Like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go stand outside. We're like the postman, like rain or shine, like we're out there. So the weather takes its toll. It's actually physically challenging. Like my husband snapped a finger on a dog's collar. I fell and broke my wrist. It's physically demanding. We both have
Makes
injuries
sense.
from doing it. Yeah. And honestly, there are days where I'm just like, I don't want to pick up more shit. And like being like, oh, having to text an owner, being like, your dog's poo looked a little funny today. Like, it's just, there's days where I'm like, this is getting old. But at the same time, they're so happy.
They just have
And they,
such joy.
well, that's it. Like, it's just joy with no agenda, no strings attached. When I open the door and I call them and they're running towards me with like joy, or when I like our own dog,
Hmm.
seeing him get to play with his friends every day,
Hmm.
I can't help but smile.
Definitely. Well, and I also think what's really neat about dogs is they don't hold the past against you. There's no
Nope.
past really, other than the rituals that you've created together, right? That they
Yeah.
love. And they are just so deeply in the present. It's such a energy management tool for us to experience the way they go about life.
Absolutely. I use them, well, my other business, like the more wellness, nervous system, all of that side, like, but I use dogs when I'm talking about that stuff because they're so, like, we talk about, how to find just like that calm energy in your life. And it's all about sort of being mindful and trying to stay present. Like, look at dogs. Like, that's all they do. They're just in that moment. They're not thinking about what happened a week ago or a replay. Like, they're just in that moment. And even like a lot of the nervous system tools that we can use for ourselves to kind of regulate, which I find so fascinating, is what they do. If you see a dog shaking, that's to shake off that nervous energy. Yawning, that's a nervous system. Like a lot of that is what they do naturally and what we suppress. And it's like we should learn from them, pay attention, do more of what they're doing. They've got it right.
They really do. They really have it
Hmm.
right. And, they don't have to deal with adulting and a lot of the other things we
No.
have to, but they do it. Like my dog got kidnapped last year by a homeless man walking in our home and taking him. And he was gone for like 24 hours, maybe a little longer. Like the guy burnt his tail during that. There was a bunch of
Oh my God.
stuff. We got the dog back. The guy was prosecuted, all of that. He literally walked in our home, put him on the leash, and my dog is very stoked about people. And he went for a W. I say that
Oh
because,
my
they say
gosh.
that other word right now. Our podcast is ruined. But, he went through intense trauma. I will call that
Yeah.
very intense trauma for a dog. And he got home and he slept for like 36 hours or so almost, hardly even got up, drank and ate water. His
Yeah.
paws were completely raw because the guy walked him like 8 miles overnight.
Oh my
We know that.
gosh.
And then no difference. He's the same guy, I'd say, just as trusting of strangers,
Yeah. Oh my
just
gosh.
as excited to go for a walk every day.
Yeah. That is just, first of all, like your trauma. That's so much trauma for both of you.
Absolutely. But also for me, it was such a lesson in boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries that we can control. And
Hmm.
for me, I had heard that little voice in my head that day that said, go back and lock the door. I lived in a small town. Why did it matter? My son was home alone sick. I knew the door wasn't locked. And I heard that voice a little bit louder that said, go back and lock the door. And I
Mm.
didn't, right? And we have to be able to listen to our intuition. That was one lesson in that. And then I lock my door now every day because it's something I can just do. And I don't want to repeat any kind of past mistakes. I just want to keep going forward. But it definitely, shifted something in me because trauma always does. Yeah, like it made me shift the boundaries that I could. And that was personal safety really is extremely important. And I am not
Hmm.
bigger than someone's mental health crisis, a homeless person's mental health, and what other people can do to me, even if I'm kind. Like I always thought
Yeah.
kindness kind of trumped that, and it doesn't, right? And so the boundary is I lock the door. It's easy.
Yeah.
I do it consistently. Nobody's going to walk in my house and steal my dog again. And he has a GPS collar on now, too. He's got a tracker or whatever, a microchip within him,
Yeah.
but, we shifted a little bit of that. And I definitely already really loved my dog and was so grateful for him, but it increased the gratitude even more.
I bet. Oh, absolutely. Oh.
Yeah, and for all the people who helped get him back, right? Like that amount of community support was incredible. And so, yes, it was a
Hmm.
horrible situation, but here we are.
You just go through it, you know?
You just keep going. Okay, so can we
Exactly.
shift a little bit and talk about this
Yes.
other business that you have? And you have a
Hmm.
podcast. So I want to
Hmm.
hear about, okay, you started this business to do the dog walking, and now at
Hmm.
some point in time, you have to tell me you've come up with some other things that you are working on and really enjoying. And that's why we're in the business community together.
Exactly, exactly. The dog walking, I did not need a business community. It was much more straightforward to build. It did not prepare me at all to try to grow another business. But yeah, so we have to kind of go back before the dog walking. I was a social
Yeah.
worker. That was what I went to school for and worked as a social worker for almost a decade, mostly doing child protection. So I was
Um,
investigating child abuse and neglect. So people would
yeah,
call,
yeah.
they would make a report, and then for the first while, I
Mhm.
was one of the people that would go out and look into it. It taught me a lot, but
Mhm.
it takes its toll. And I was burnt out for a number of reasons. I mean, I was burnt out from the work itself. Not even just the work, like, what I was seeing and what I was dealing with, but just working in a system that was just not doing a good job, really. Like, I don't know how to
Yeah.
say it better. And then we were
I
expected to
I
do a
understand
good
that.
job within a kind of broken system, which was very difficult. So I was burnt out in that way. I was burnt out from my own life of, I mean, after the fact understanding, like very like people pleasing and just trying to show up for everybody and not taking care of myself. And so this was
Mm-hmm.
happening for years and years. And then I switched positions at work to I was the one taking the reports, did that for a few years. Things were just not getting better. And I thought, okay, well, let's make a change. I went into private practice, like counseling, did that for a time. And I was good at everything I did, but I was just not in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I had to stop. And that's sort of what the dog walking started as.
Mm-hmm.
I could not see a way to be a social worker anymore. I was so sick. Like, I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I was just sick, physically sick, not well mentally and emotionally. Like, I was just in a really difficult
Mm-hmm.
place. And, people said, well, find a new job, do something else. And I said, no, I need to not do this. And it was the first time in my life where I said, okay, I need to do what I need to do. Like, I need to stop listening to what everyone else thinks I should do and do what I think I should do.
Was there a specific moment that you really realized this isn't just stress? This isn't just not a good fit. This is me abandoning myself.
I think there were a bunch of moments. Like, I feel like,
Mhm.
I don't know that there was one big, like, revelation. I wish, I mean, I think I wish
Right,
I
right.
had that because it probably would have been easier to fully understand what was going on. I think it was a lot of small moments. I was diagnosed with Crohn's. I got sick. I was off work. I got my diagnosis. They were trying to stabilize it with medication. And I was part of a union with my job. My employer was starting to say, you need to come back to work. Like, let's start talking about how we can get you back to work, even if we have to accommodate, your illness. And I was devastated. And I realized I was more upset about the idea of going back to work than I was about having this lifelong illness. Like, I was upset, obviously upset about the illness, but the
Mm-hmm.
thought of going back to work just felt so wrong. Like, it just felt so wrong. So I think of like
Yeah.
moments like that.
I think a lot of people have those moments. It's not like, oh, the lights are shining on me and I see the path. I just see the path I'm currently on isn't it.
And that's it. I think again, it would be easier if we had that big revelation of like, oh wait, something's wrong and this is what it is and this is how I'm gonna fix it. That's why we have to pay attention to when those little moments, I want to say like little big moments, because they are big moments,
Hmm.
but they stack up. So it's like moment like that, a moment where I remember I was out with my husband and he was talking to me and I was like he said like he was talking to me for a full minute. He said I was just staring off into space, like totally
Hmm.
unresponsive. And so it was just a lot of those moments that I think when I even left my job, I was doing the counseling, I was helping women mostly, but I just felt like I was going through the motions. And it
Hmm.
was not doing them a service. It's not fair to them. So I ended up, just shutting down what I had built. And it was just sort of like, well, what am I going to do? Again, that's when everyone said, well, find another job, find another job. And I said to my husband, Keith, I said, like, I don't want to be a social worker anymore. Like, I'm a mess. I'm an absolute
Hmm.
mess. I don't know what I want.
Hmm.
I don't know what's going, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. And he said, well, how about dog walking? Like, he's like, he was a gardener. He would see dog walker. He's like, you love dogs.
Hmm.
It would get you outside. It would be something different. And that's sort of how that came about is I started working for a dog walking company because I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't know how are you a dog walker? But I started doing it and then we started our own business. And I think what it did was give me not only, I think maybe it was making that decision that was just what I needed and not listening to what other people thought I should do, which
Hmm.
is what I had done most of my adult life, made me realize, well, wait, everything I've done up until now has been to make everyone else happy. Let's start exploring what's going to make me happy. And that's sort of
Hmm.
what my journey has been over the last decade. But then with COVID, our business shut down. We were locked down. No one needed their dogs walked. Everybody was home. We
Everybody was
had,
walking their dogs themselves. It was their only
I'm
thing.
right.
In Canada, could people like leave their homes if they lived in the country, like to actually be outside? Was that a thing?
It depended where you are. It depended on
Mm-hmm.
so many different things. Like we didn't live here, but we lived somewhere else in the country too. So we would walk on the
Hmm.
like country roads. But if people tried to go to parks or things, then they would come and be like kick you
Yeah,
out.
same, same.
Um,
No
yeah,
parks were open, but we could like walk and I live in Colorado,
exactly.
so there's so much open space. right? Where you can go just be in the mountains and whatnot. And I was in the perfect place for COVID
Yeah.
when it happened. I cannot imagine having been in a city.
We were close to a lake, and it was like a 7 kilometer loop from our house to the lake and back. And we would just do that with our previous dog. We would just do that almost every day if the weather was nice.
Yeah.
Like it was just like beautiful.
I know.
As
I felt like
everything
it
was
was a very
crashing down.
oxygen rich, mask forward,
100%.
simplified way of life, but it
Hmm.
didn't directly impacted your income, correct?
I mean, thankfully, there was some provincial
Mm.
help that they were giving out. So we utilized that while we tried to figure out what we were going to do. And then we just had a very honest conversation. Just said, like, one of us needs to make money. Like, who can get a
Mm.
job easier? And we decided I would go back to social work and keep the business going. So I started counseling again pretty quickly. And there was a very big need for it at the time. So I started doing that. And then I got a job as well. And I was working and he was keeping the business going. And then our business, when things opened up again and life started to sort of resemble what we
Mhm.
know, our dog business exploded. Everyone got puppies and now they all had to work. So it went from like one extreme to the other where we were like, how do we even manage all of this? And so I left the job. Like the job was always going to be a temporary thing. I left that. And the counseling, I continued to do part time while we were still doing the dog walking. I had healed enough that I was going into it in a different way. And it reminded me why I went into social work in the first place. Like, I love helping people. I love seeing people sort of overcome whatever challenges they're facing and becoming their best selves. But what the dog business has taught me is I can set up my life the way I want to do it. Like, I can do things the way I want to do it. And so I was like, I didn't like going back into like the traditional social work role, but I liked
Mhm.
helping people. And sort of from that, my business, Grounding with Ruth, was born of, okay, like I can help people, specifically women, and take what I know from my sort of educational background and my work experience, take my lived experience and put it all together into this business and create something that feels authentically me and makes me excited to get up in the morning and do it. That's sort of how it's come to be, my little baby, my little growing baby of Grounding with Ruth.
Well, to me, that it's just such an example that you put on your oxygen mask first. Like,
Yeah.
you first got diagnosed with a chronic illness that is
Yeah.
no joke.
No.
Navigating Crohn's is not easy.
No.
And especially when your life isn't in alignment. I think our bodies 100% keep score. Mine certainly
100%. Yeah.
has. My liver failed
Yep.
completely in 2022, I believe. I have an autoimmune disease as well, and my body likes alignment. My body likes rest. My body likes low stress. My body doesn't like drama. My
Yeah.
body loves breath work,
Yeah.
right? Like I can really list a lot of things my body doesn't like, but if I'm real, I could list a longer list of things that my body loves that nourishes it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what you did with that shift is you just started nourishing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also then returned back to a big part of who you are, which is a social worker, but
Mm-hmm.
in your own way.
Exactly. I don't know about you, but like I feel like you're going through school as a young person and you're like, what do you want to do for post-secondary edu I mean, this is how I was raised. It's like,
Mhm,
what are you going to do
mhm,
when you get out of high school? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like,
mhm.
make that decision from this young age. And first of all, like, how are you supposed to know that when you're that?
But
Like,
you
I don't.
cannot.
No, no, you can't. But then it's sort of, there is still that expectation of, well, then you go to school and then you get the job and then you stay in
Hmm.
the job and then you live the rest of your life. And I
Hmm.
think what
Once
we're,
your retirement is
and,
fully taken care of,
well,
it's part
exactly.
of that expectation, right?
Oh, absolutely. Make sure that
And
you
while you
can
keep the
retire.
medical, health, whatever
Hmm.
benefits that you like, can't
Oh,
do
absolutely.
on your own,
Exactly. All
basically
of that.
trapped.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the messaging I got, not just from my family, and I don't, no shame on them. I don't blame them at all. That's what they knew. But that's what you got from society, from everybody. I struggled my whole life with fitting into this mold, and I think I took it from a very kind of self-destructive way when I was a teenager, which is a whole other conversation,
Hmm.
that when I became an young adult, into my 20s, I kind of pendulum the other way to like the people pleasing, make everybody happy, don't cause conflict because I had done all of the opposite when I was younger. And so, I was trying to do that thing. I went to school, got the job. I wish I had known this when I was younger. And if I can like teach young people anything, is you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to pivot 1,000 times. You're allowed to try things. And if it's not right, shift it. Like, I have changed so much, and it's going to continue to happen as I age. Even with the dog business has been a gift and I love it. But I cannot imagine, like, I'm 42 right now. I can't imagine being a dog walker when I'm 50, being in the elements with Crohn's. And I'm sure with the joy of autoimmune diseases, often when you have one, you get others.
Yeah.
I'm already having other issues that I'm trying to deal with. Like, so I can't imagine being outside, sort of having my arms yanked and being, on ice and all of those things when I'm 50. Like, I know I need something different. So it's like you're allowed to shift, you're allowed to make
Sure.
changes as you go through life. You don't have to stick to one thing, you don't have to be one thing.
And that's the same, I think, with you don't have to stay with the same employer if you don't want to have your own
No.
business, right? You don't have to stay in the same field of work. As an entrepreneur, our businesses change and morph so frequently. It serves my energy really well to be able to keep creating and doing something new because I love adventure and new things, right? I mean, I was similar. I started a career as a CPA. I got a business degree. I knew I would own my own business someday, so I ended up getting a
Mm,
business degree. My plan was to go to law school. I never have. I still would love to go to law school. I can imagine when my son goes to college, I might go to law school. I don't think I'll ever be a practicing lawyer. I just love to learn. And it sounds
hmm
interesting to me, right? What would I use that for? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's a desire of my heart. I'm a
hmm
CPA, turned that into HR work. I love HR work, but I like that I have this cool numbers background and I can see businesses from a different perspective. And I help
hmm
people scale because I know the cost of people. I know if we move people around what that costs. I know the cost of keeping employees that don't work well.
hmm
Like, I love to fire, but I don't think I would love it as much if I didn't understand the numbers, right? Like it took
Yeah.
me a full circle thing. And to go a little bit back to the social work that you started with, one of my first jobs within my first year or two as a auditor, a financial statement auditor, in the United States, we have these government funded programs that have to be single audited. And so they send in auditors, CPAs, to
Mm.
look into the social programs. So I was pulled into a child services
Oh,
audit
interesting.
of an Indian tribe and to see if they were using that funding appropriately. But to see if they use the
Mhm.
funding appropriately, you have to test like 20 things that are like the way the grant was set up. I was reading a lot of child files that were in the social system, that were in foster care, that had been taken from their homes for
Mhm.
a number of reasons. And I read those files and it was extremely life changing. I had an intern on that job. He threw up on the job one day because it made
Yep.
him so sick. I sent him
Yep.
home. And anyway, fast forward 20 years later, I'm a mom. I see the world from a little bit different perspective because of what I learned in those files.
Yeah.
And I think it's made me a better parent, quite honestly. I was not always living in my first family home when I was a child either, right? Like, but I
Okay.
experienced a lot more love and nurturing from those people whose homes I was in. And so it's helped me create a home that is always that safe space for everyone. But had I not have been through all of that and like jumped through
Mhm.
whatever hoops and given myself permission to change careers and jobs and move and be a mom and keep pivoting, I wouldn't be where I am, right? But I can use the compassion that I learned in those files 20 years ago in my daily life. And so it has its place. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. I'm not a parent. I have 8 nieces and nephews, so I feel like I
Mm.
make up for it with my siblings' offspring, but it was very difficult work. If I could erase some of what I saw and dealt with out of my memory, would I? Maybe, because it was not nice at all.
Hmm.
That's putting it pretty lightly. But at the same time, I wouldn't because again, it's everything. All
Mhm,
the difficult experiences that we go through make us the
mhm,
person we are today. And I'm very happy with the person that I am today.
mhm,
But yeah, I think I was very naive before I had that job. I knew,
mhm,
you know about a little bit about how the world works and, I'd had some hardships leading up to it, but seeing what other homes were like and families and things that could happen, definitely it changed how I see the world and made me, I
mhm,
think, a little bit more, maybe, but more grounded too. And also that sort of feeling, I don't like when people say first world problems. It really drives me nuts because I feel like we all have the right to having our issues, regardless
mhm,
of where we live or what our
mhm.
situation is. But at the same time, it does sometimes give me perspective when I'm going through something and I'm like, okay, like this just feels so hard. It's like, well, like I've dealt with harder things on worse days, and so have other people, and I'll get through this.
I think that's like where gratitude practices come in.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
can shift. I have a childhood best friend. Our moms were pregnant together. We've grown up together our whole lives. I've never not had life with Amy. She lost her legs and her hands when we were 30,
Oh my gosh.
and or most of her fingers through meningitis. She wasn't vaccinated and she got meningitis. And not that I'm comparing my life to Amy's, but on a daily basis, I'm actually really grateful that I can walk,
Yeah.
that I don't have scars all over my legs that make it hard to put prosthetics on like she does, right? Like we get to take all the things
Hmm.
that we experience through life and help use them to fuel
Hmm.
ourselves, to nourish ourselves, to find gratitude because we will all have hard. I've had more than my fair share,
Hmm.
but I also get to use that to help people and so do you, right? Like
Yeah.
those moments. How have you infused that into the business? I really want to hear more about what you're
Yeah.
working with people one on one and the course that you've created about
Yeah.
self-worth because the way you began your career got built into what you have to offer now.
Yeah. I think what the biggest lesson that I learned as I've sort of been on my own healing journey from where I was 10 years ago was I was falling into these beliefs and patterns that I formed when I was so young. So, this belief that I was not good enough and that I wasn't worthy. The strong one for me, and it still comes up, is like that I feel like there's something wrong with me. And I can remember being like a little kid feeling like that because I wanted to be quiet and I wanted to read my book and I didn't want to talk to people. Like I was just a very introverted kind of kid and I struggled with school. I was happier with animals than I was with people. I was that kid. But then it was like I was constantly being told, like, no, you need to do this. You need to do, like, you need to talk more. You need to get with, be out with friends. You need to, and I just was like, well, something must be wrong with me that I don't want to do these things. And, I see
Mhm,
my siblings moving through school with no issue. Obviously, as an adult, I know differently now, but like to me as a kid, it was like their school is easy
mhm,
for them and having friends is easy for them. And for me, it was like, it was not that way. But I saw, looking back, how those believing that I was not enough, believing that I wasn't worthy and that there's something wrong with me, how it impacted the self destructive teenager that was depressed and acted impulsively and did stupid things because I felt that way. And then the people pleasing and the overgiving, woman in her 20s who was just trying to make up for that. And sort of my own journey of figuring out, well, no, I am enough and I am worthy and there's nothing wrong with me. I am my beautiful, weird self and I love that. And I show
mhm.
up as authentically as I can everywhere I go. The fact that I'm not wearing a hoodie and I'm actually wearing a nice shirt, that's like probably the most inauthentic. No, I just tried to make a
I
little
mean, I
effort,
got
but
a
I'm
party
almost
going on
all.
up top right now, but I have my workout pants on the bottom.
I am wearing a pajama pants with my sweatshirts or my beautiful sweater. So, no, but that's it. Like, I'm
Beauty of
not,
Zoom.
God bless you. But I've taken those lessons into my work now because I see it so much in the women in my life, the women in my
Mhm,
work, is that so much of us function from that place of feeling like we're not enough and that we're not
mhm,
worthy. And we have to compensate for it by giving everything to everybody else and
mhm,
not taking care of ourselves. My passion is for every single woman to know they are perfect enough worthy as they are at this moment. And that's why I built the program. So it's called the Self Worth Solution. my whole thing is undergoing some changes thanks to Monarch. But I'm really
Same,
excited
same.
with yeah, I'm very excited with where it's going. But the whole program, it's first of all a community. I think that we need to do this in community because I think the first thing is you feel very isolated. You feel like
Yes.
very alone and feeling like you are struggling. So I
Mm-hmm.
think being in a community of women who are all saying, no, we feel this way, you're not alone, I think that's an incredibly powerful thing. And then we work through the program with addressing the beliefs first and then sort of then evaluating kind of how it shows up in our lives. So we address the beliefs, we learn how to rethink them,
Mm-hmm.
and then we go into the things that people really want to talk about, which is like boundaries and things like that, which are important. But you want to build that
Mm-hmm.
structure on a solid foundation. So that's why we do the beliefs first. And everything that I do, because meditation and breath work has been a huge piece
Mm-hmm.
of my own healing and how I sort of keep myself in a good place. That is incorporated into all of the program. It's incorporated into my podcast. Like it's not out yet, but like it's going to be a piece of what I'm going to be offering in the future of breath work because it helped you regulate, but
Mm-hmm.
meditation because for me it was such an important piece of how I examined, sort of looked at my life and looked at myself and what do I want, like was through meditation. That's how I explored those questions and how I continue to check in with
Mm-hmm.
myself and see what's going on. So, yeah, that's a little bit
I
about
love
what I
it. I
do.
mean,
Yeah.
I think for me, some of my healing journey was very similar. I did hypnotherapy at the beginning of some of the healing work that I did because one of my
Mm-hmm.
coaches was like, "You've got these beliefs that keep coming up, like you have to work harder." Like my thing is, I'm not enough. I
Mm-hmm.
have to do more. Not like I'm not enough in this world. That statement doesn't even make sense to me because I knew like that I had a lot to offer, but deep, 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 deep down, there was some level of programming that said I was not enough.
Yep.
And that was tied to me overperforming and overworking and overgiving. And I wouldn't call myself a pleaser. I'm in fact like in your face, assertive. I speak my truth.
Yeah.
But did I walk on some eggshells in my last marriage that ended? You better believe it because I did want to keep more peace. I think we all have some pleaser in us. We all have
Absolutely.
ways that we don't fully express ourselves because of some underlying story we heard once when we were little. Like, I heard a lot when I was little. People would tell my parents, like, oh, she's so cute. And I'd hear them go, shh, 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 shh.
Hmm.
And it made me have a lot of shame when people
Yeah.
complimented me for a long time in my life because I watched my parents be ashamed of it, right? Like, I won't dive deeply into that. I understand it more now as I'm an adult, but it impacted me. It created a story under if people complimented me on my looks, what it meant about me. So then I went and performed more as a child. I did more. I got more A's. I got into more schools. I got more gold medals. And then I started believing in relationship. If I cooked more, cleaned more, worked more, did more,
Yeah.
that
Interesting.
I would earn love, but not other
Yep.
people's love, my love,
Oh, that's
right?
the big key.
Because
Is
that was
how
the
often are
big,
we looking for the external validation and the external sort of love and all of that?
right. And so that's one of the beautiful things about Monarch. We talk about a
Yeah.
get to do list, not a to do list, those types of shifts. But I did a lot of hypnotherapy breath
Hmm.
work to get those beliefs out of my body and to reprogram. And then I did meditations to reprogram. I did that like 10 years ago. Does it mean it doesn't still come up? No. It in fact means I may need to visit those breath work meditation spaces more often, share my story, speak it,
Yeah.
and make sure other people know you're not alone. We all have these beliefs that are formed when we're children. It's terrifying to be a parent because you're like, oh my God, did I just make him have a belief that he's going to have hypnotherapy and breath work and meditation? And, you know, ah, he's his own person. Who knows what it'll be? I'm sure I'm contributing as I raise a kid alone.
I joked with a friend recently because she was raising similar worries about her kids, and I said, I don't know, maybe therapy when you're an adult is a rite of passage. Like,
Breathwork
don't,
certainly is.
yeah.
I can't imagine my life without breathwork
Yeah.
and
No, me
meditation
neither.
and walks. You could take a lot away from me, and I'm grateful for those practices. I had a major hip surgery in 2017. So almost 9 years ago. And before that, I got up and I ran and I worked out every day. And that was my meditation. That was the way that I got energy out of my body, right?
Hmm.
I was talking to my chiropractor before the surgery and I was like, I'm gonna have to learn to rewalk. I'll have 6 months where I can't work out. What am I gonna do? And he said, Dot, there's this little thing called meditation. Let me introduce you to it, right? And I was like, oh, no chance can I do that shit. Be still.
Yeah.
And of course, I had the surgery. I got Insight Timer, an app on my
Oh, I love
phone.
Insight. Yeah.
I found Sarah Blondin. Have you ever listened to Sarah Blondin?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, to this day, that's who I meditate with if I need a guided meditation. She
Hmm.
changed my life. It changed me to my core to meditate. Like you said, that getting still. If I feel like I'm out of balance, that getting still. And then, like, I do morning pages where I just write and write and write, and I have no idea. Like, hopefully, no one ever finds my journals because I say horrible things in there about people and myself. And, but I get it out. And then I do breath work or whatever, really get it out. And it's life changing. Those oxygen first practices are life changing. And you help people
Absolutely.
do these and find them.
Well, I'm working with like different people to help me in my business and to help me personally. And someone
Hmm.
asked me, like, what is driving you? I guess, what is your why?
Yeah.
And my answer was something along the lines, I can't remember exactly, but was first of all, I don't want any woman to feel how I felt 10 years ago. Like, I do not
Yeah.
want anyone to feel that way. And if I can change that for like just even a handful, I'll feel like I've lived a purposeful life. We are incredible. We are beautiful. Like, I want to help more women find their voice and do what they can do in this world. Like, it just, however that is, however they show up in their relationships or
Hmm.
with their children, or how they show up at work, or how they just, like, if they find a voice in another way, like, it doesn't matter how they do it. It's what inspired my podcast, which is called Inspired Questions. I just wanted a platform where I could highlight other women's voices and my own so we could learn from each other and we can empower each other. Because it's like,
Hmm.
I don't know, I feel sometimes like men have screwed up this world. So if we women
Hmm.
sort of lift each other up and get into
Hmm.
those spaces, and I just think women are amazing. And it just makes me
Hmm.
sad that a lot of us out there don't see that.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
my,
I think
I'll
we've
get off my
we've
soapbox now.
I totally agree. I think we've tried
Yeah.
to be men in a world where we
Mm-hmm.
could actually be women.
Yes.
I think we've been in some relationships that haven't served us that, like, for me personally, I've been in relationships where I have to be more masculine than I should be. And
Yeah.
I'm finding as I age that when I can be in my feminine power, and let a man be masculine, healthy
Yeah.
masculine, I love in a different way. I love
Yeah.
in a richer way. It's a more nurturing, beautiful, light filled, I don't exactly know how to describe it, but it's more intuitively guided. If
Mm.
I'm in a relationship like that and I can let myself be my psychic self, I have a lot of psychic ability. And if I can share that with a man and he's comfortable with it, and I'm like, I don't know, I heard this, I felt this, I can't
Mm-hmm.
explain it because I would be masculine, right? When I can do that, I love richer, like
Mm.
it's a different way that I float through the world when I can really be a woman.
Yes.
The
And I
way
think
that I am
tapping
a
in,
woman.
yeah, we're all going to be unique in our own way. But, you think of the feminine traits of like
Hmm.
compassion and empathy and nurturing
Hmm.
and all of those. Like, I think we tend to just, again, it's all about that external. We give,
Hmm.
give, give. But I
Hmm.
think where my work is let's give that compassion to ourselves and then empathy
Hmm.
to ourselves and then
Hmm.
nurturing to ourselves first. Power of oxygen first. Like, let's give all of those things to ourselves first,
Hmm.
because then you are going to show up in your life and to the people in your life and everywhere you go your best self. And I think that's where there's a lot of that disconnect, is that we're not giving, or we think we are, but are we really doing it?
Right. Do you have like one daily practice or like what is your needle mover in your life that's like your most common oxygen first practice, I'd say?
I always do a meditation before bed. My mornings are hectic. I've tried so hard to try to build it
Hmm.
into a morning, but it's
Hmm.
like it just stresses me out more than
Right.
it's worth it. So again, try and do something different if it doesn't work. And I found for me, evenings are the time for me to do it. So it's like I have my kind of nightly routine of, getting ready for bed, getting into bed. And then I always do a meditation before I go to sleep. And I find if I fall off of that practice, I can feel it in every aspect of my life. Like I just feel like I'm not showing up the way I want
Hmm.
to, because that's sort of my time for me.
I love that. It's like a ritual. When I hear people say it's my time, I
Yeah.
hear, oh, you've made that like this beautiful ritual practice.
Hmm.
And also because of that, you've set some boundaries around it. Your husband knows you do this every night, right?
Hmm.
The
Yep.
dog, in fact, probably joins you.
He goes into his crate. He's right next to me and yeah, it's just
They
my
just
my
know and
time.
they feel it, right?
They do. They
And it's
do.
a big needle mover, even though meditating at night is not that big of a deal, right? Like it is, but it's funny the things that I notice that matter so much that when we get 50-foot view, it's like, okay, then just do that.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
we get in our own way and we don't do it sometimes, then we're like, okay, recalibrate, let's do it again. Let's meditate at night.
Yeah. Because I feel like from the moment I wake up, not from the moment I wake up, I do kind of get up and I don't look at my phone. Well, I look at my phone and just look at the time, but like I'm not like scrolling, get up when I have to get up and get dressed and get out the door and feed animals and do all that. But sort of like I'm
Hmm.
thinking, and then I go through my day and I'm thinking and I'm
Hmm.
thinking and things
Hmm.
are happening in my brain. And where I
Hmm.
feel like that meditation at night, and I feel like it's almost because I have trouble sleeping, always have had
Hmm.
trouble sleeping. I come from a
Hmm.
family who everybody
Same.
has trouble sleeping. Like you said, it doesn't seem like much, but it's just that like
Hmm.
5, 10, 15 minutes, however much I do that day, it's that moment of quiet that
Yeah.
my brain is not thinking. I think that is what it is. It's like
Yeah.
giving myself permission to just stop and be present.
It's
Not to say my
beautiful.
thoughts don't go, but that's
Yeah.
all that meditation practice is about, is your thoughts are going to go, but you just let them go and don't hold on to them and just bring it
Hmm.
back to whatever you're focusing on in that moment.
I love it. Okay, so
Yeah.
as we kind of wrap up, I want to hear
Mhm.
how can people work with you? I know things are shifting a little bit in your business right
Yeah.
now, but people can find you. We'll have all of your information in the show notes. But what ways can people work with you?
Yeah, so you can find me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I have a free Facebook group called The Enough Project that is full of women who are all sort of experiencing the same thing. And I try to
Hmm.
be in there and facilitate conversations about these things that we go through. And then, yeah, I have the Self-Worth Solution as my program and community. It's 12 self-paced modules, but it's a year. You can do it at your own pace, but you have the community for a year. There's monthly calls where we talk about things that are coming up as you go through the modules. And then there's the option to add one-on-one calls with me as well. And then that's sort of what I have now, but there
Yeah,
are some exciting things coming, which you can find if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook. They should be
I love
coming in the
it.
next hopefully few weeks. Things that I'm really sort of leaning into, yeah, to the meditation and breath work, and then also
Hmm.
kind of leaning back into my social work therapy side, but kind of again doing it on my own terms now. So
Hmm.
creating something that
Hmm.
feels really kind of cool and unique to me. So you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Grounding with Ruth, and it'll all be there as it comes. Or listen to Inspired Questions, my podcast. You can listen there. I do solo episodes, I do meditation episodes, and then I do interview episodes. So it's kind of something different every
Love it.
week.
I would
Yeah.
love to be on your podcast.
Yeah. Please. I would love that.
It'd be awesome. I want to
Yeah.
hear what inspired questions you have for me.
It's interesting. It started as like this, like, I had 10 set questions, and the podcast
Hmm.
was like I went through with each person these
Question.
10 set
Hmm.
questions, which is great.
Hmm.
Definitely took a lot of pressure off me because I
Yeah.
knew what was coming, but I found it a little bit like rushed because I was always trying to get in those questions. And now it has just morphed into more of a like an organic conversation about life, which I love. So if anyone goes back and listens to the first ones, they are rough. I love it because you can see your progression. Like it's this like timeline for me of vocabulary. Like stop saying that word every 5 minutes.
I
Like
know. No, I don't like to go back and listen to my episodes.
I
I have
don't.
this one, episode 4 for me has gotten the most downloads. It's about your why.
Oh,
And
interesting.
It's really interesting to me. It still gets a lot of downloads, even to this day, right? Like I'll see an increase in traffic, bunch of people download an episode when I have someone on the podcast, and then all of a sudden they go back to four and they also download that one. So I don't know what it is. And I'm always like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, should I listen to episode four? Which I haven't in a long time because life has really shifted for me. I've gone through a divorce through all this podcast and I think it's interesting, but yeah, people
It's
typically
almost,
download the latest episodes, and it
yeah,
is an example, just like the way we let ourselves pivot in our businesses and pivot in our careers. We pivot in our podcasts, and I love that.
it is. And can I just say one thing that you said? I hope you don't mind that because you said it
Not at
before we
all.
started recording. Learning to show up imperfectly. You said about your podcast, and I had to
Yeah.
do the same about sort of letting go of that. It has to be perfect for me to put it out there. And I feel like that has been the pivot, a really key moment. By no means has my podcast ever been perfect. I hate the word
Yeah.
perfect because I don't think perfect even exists. It's like this moving goalpost of our own creation. But that I think has been a huge thing is just letting go of this expectation of what it should be and just letting it be what it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, perfect permission to be messy. I think
Oh
for
God, that's
me,
my yes.
there was some programming as a child, like not to be messy, right? Not to
Hmm.
have a mess in my room. And of course, we want our kids to clean up their rooms, right? But at some point in time, I became this performer to achieve.
Yeah.
And in order to put it out in the world, I felt like I had to master it. I had
Yeah.
to get the degree, and so starting podcasting and giving myself the permission to be messy, the permission to speak my voice and be messy
Hmm.
and share it with the world and have people listen to it. Now, do I cringe? People walk up to me now in the airport and stuff and recognize me from the podcast,
That's amazing.
and I don't know them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. And so there's like another level of me dealing with my own belief system and my own shit to keep growing.
Yeah.
Because for me, I gave myself permission to be messy. And then I all of a sudden realize I think they think I've done it perfectly or something. And they haven't. But I'm just saying, like, that belief system continues to like reincorporate within us
Yeah.
and kind of scream its little voice. And we have to keep just doing it messy and letting it go like the dogs do.
Absolutely. There's two things people say to me the most. People say I make them feel safe, which is like
Ooh,
they're like
you
that's your
do.
gift. You just like have a safe, non-judgmental, which is like such a like
Mhm.
oh God, I feel like weird saying that. Literally like physically like feel like why are you saying this? Why are you saying this? But anyways, that's
No.
the one thing because it feels boastful. That's why I feel this way. But anyways, that's the one thing. And then the other one is that because I show up so authentic, again, like I think every call you've ever seen me, I'm probably wearing a hoodie. I mean, my hair's in a bun right now. My hair's always in a bun. But like I show up the way I'm gonna show up. Like I don't put on a performance. I don't try to be
Mhm.
something I'm not. I am who I am. And that's what I think for you, if people are coming up to you and you're like, you're putting out this podcast and you think, oh, it's messy and all that. What people say to me is like, because you show up that way, I feel
Mhm.
like I can show up that way. By you putting it out there, they're not going to think it's perfect. They're just going to think you're showing up the way you're showing up. And I think that translates people,
Absolutely.
they feel that. And it's a beautiful thing to give permission for people to think they can do it too.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that. I do think people see this
Hmm.
practice of oxygen first, and it's a
Yeah.
simple concept to be able to apply. You can apply it to your personal life, to your business. I'm such an advocate for hiring support and not doing all of these things alone, but only because I'm speaking about it, right?
Yeah.
Do they see that it's had impact in my own life? And I share about all these failures, all these things. Like when I started my podcast, I didn't anticipate going through a divorce that month.
Oh my gosh.
And,
Yeah.
it totally changed the course of my podcast, I think. But I
Yeah.
also believe podcasting changed the course of my life and catapulted that change too, right? Like
Hmm.
I believe in my heart of hearts that when we step into what we are being called to,
Yeah.
whether we understand it or not, when we take those steps, everything around us shifts. You took the step to take care of yourself and your Crohn's,
Yep.
and that meant not going back to social work. Doesn't mean you didn't get to go back someday in some capacities. And now here you are circling back again, like incorporating some of that therapy into your business soon. But it's permission to pivot, I think, and be and nourish And you do such a great job. And Ruth, 100% that compliment should be like tattooed on you, or you do have this incredibly beautiful, grounding,
Thank you.
authentic presence. I love it in the monarch community.
Thank you.
I know that like if you're there and I need it, I just feel this vibration from you. And
Thank you.
I think in part the dogs have, I didn't know you before you started the dog walking thing, but I feel that with dogs.
Yeah.
Just like I feel like my dog is totally passed out next to me, like snoring,
My too, that's who I was looking at.
right? Like I look down and I'm like, I feel like I could just cuddle because he is. You embody that grounding. So thank you
Oh, thank
for
you.
all that you do in this world. And thank you for being on the podcast. And I'm
Thank you
just
so
super
much.
excited to keep getting to know you. I'm hoping maybe you will like jump on accountability calls with me and we can like work through our business
I
stuff
would
together.
love that.
That would
I
be
would absolutely
so
love that.
fun, like work sprints together.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be really fun. So, yeah.
I would love that too.
Whoa, how great was that conversation, you guys? Okay, now take a breath with me just for a second and soak that conversation in. There was just so much in the conversation I just had with Ruth, but here's what I keep coming back to. It's not usually one big moment that changes your life. It's the quiet ones. The moment where you realize you're more exhausted than life makes sense for. The moment where you dread something that used to feel really normal. And the moment where you feel disconnected, even when everything looks fine on the outside. Ruth called them little big moments. And I love that so much because it gives us permission to listen sooner. Before the breakdown, before the diagnosis, before your body has to scream to be heard. Another big takeaway for me, your body is not the problem. Your body is the messenger. And when we ignore it, override it, push past it, it will eventually find a way to get our attention. And then there's this takeaway I love. You are allowed to build a life that actually fits you, not the one that you were told to build, not the one that looks good on paper, not the one that keeps everyone else comfortable, but the one that lets you breathe. That is oxygen first. And you can do the same in your business. So here is my prompt for you today. Whether you take this on a walk or you just sit for a minute and think about it, or if you journal about it, here's my prompt. Where in my life do I know something isn't right, but I haven't honored it yet? And what would one small step back toward myself look like? Not the full plan, not the big leap, just one step. For Ruth, she knew that step started with she didn't want to go back to work. What's that one step for you? Because sometimes that's where everything begins. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who you think might really need it. And if you're ready to start creating more space, more support, and more oxygen in your life, you can start with my Support and Breathe Return on Investment Calculator. It's linked in the show notes. But until next time, please put on your oxygen mask first. And your oxygen mask, it fits differently than everyone else's. It's yours. This conversation reminded you that you don't have to do it all alone. That's your cue. Go download the free Support and Breathe Return on Investment Calculator at rockconsulting.com. It's a quick, slightly eye-opening way to see how much time, money, and energy you could reclaim with the right support. And remember, support does not always mean hiring. Sometimes it's a simple ask. Sometimes it's a boundary. And sometimes it's finally letting someone be your peanut butter. If something in this episode resonated, please come tell me. I'm on Instagram at @rock_, and I genuinely love hearing what lands for you so I can create more of them. And remember, your energy is your greatest asset. Protect it, invest in it, and always put on your oxygen mask first. I'll see you next week.